You gave them everything, but did they even want it? Ruby's realization. Ruby sat in her chair, her hands resting over a quilt she had sewn decades ago. Her silver-streaked hair framed her face as she stared into the past. She had spent her life giving time, giving energy, giving opportunities, giving all the things she had never had as a child. And now, as an elderly woman reflecting on her years of sacrifice, she sighed and said, "I loved my kids so much that I tried to give them everything. It sounded noble, it sounded like love, but then her voice softened. But I never stopped to ask if they even wanted what I was giving them." And just like that, everything she believed about parenting started to unravel. Because if they didn't want it, if they didn't value it, was it really for them? Or had it always been about her? The gift they never asked for. We think we're giving out of love. But are we? You gave them everything. But did you ever ask them what they actually wanted? Or did you just hand them your childhood wish list and call it love? Maybe you grew up struggling, so you worked yourself to exhaustion to ensure your children never knew that kind of hardship. Maybe you lacked affection, so you flooded them with hugs and I love yous, hoping to fill a gap they never even felt. Maybe you had to fight for every opportunity, so you made sure their path was smooth, removing obstacles before they even reached them. But here's the truth. Most of what we give our kids isn't what they need. It's what we needed. And if, after all that giving, we still feel empty, maybe that wasn't the answer after all. Carrying their water while running on empty. Ruby admitted something else. She didn't just give. She carried. She carried their burdens. She shielded them from pain. She moved obstacles out of their way. And then one day she realized she was exhausted. If you were carrying their water, who was carrying yours? Or were you just out here dehydrated, wondering why they weren't grateful? Because love is giving, yes, but love is also letting go. And here's the hardest truth. When you carry everything for someone, you rob them of the ability to carry it themselves. The lesson in letting go. Ruby thought she was giving love, but love says, "I trust you." Control says, "I need you to be a certain way for me to be okay." Which one were you really giving? Love doesn't say, "I sacrificed everything for you. Now be grateful in the way I expect." That's not love. That's a transaction. Maybe kids don't need everything. Maybe they just need to know they're enough without it. And that's a lesson you can't teach if you don't believe it yourself. Ruby thought she was clearing their path. But in truth, she was clearing her own fears. The fear of them struggling, the fear of them failing, the fear of not being needed. And yet, after all that clearing, her children still tripped. She called it failure. But what if that fall was the real gift? Because struggle teaches, hardship strengthens. And if you never let them fall, how will they ever learn to stand? So, Ruby sat back, exhaled, and whispered the hardest truth of all. I tried to give them everything, but what they really needed was to find their own way.